What's up, everyone? Welcome to our 8th episode of the House Hacking Mastermind series. My name is Ben Einspar, the host of the Mastermind series, here with my regular co-host. I'm sure some of you listeners who tune in may recognize his voice, Chris Lopez.
What's up, Ben?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Really good. I'm loving the introduction, man.
Thank you. I'm trying to improve every time. And here with my two guests, super excited you could join us. Chris, Jesteny, what's up?
Not much.
Yeah, thanks for having us back.
Yeah,
really good.
we're excited for this.
Yeah, so for any listeners who don't know, you guys were actually on the very first podcast. Is that correct?
Yep. Yeah, back in August 2020.
Man, is that about a year ago?
A year ago, yeah.
Yeah, just about a year ago.
Holy cow, time
Yep.
flies. Now we're on number 8. All right. If I got it correct, you bought your first house hack in February of 2020 and did some light remodeling for just about a month.
Yeah.
And then you've been managing Airbnb ever since.
Yeah, and that was our first house
Oh, man.
together. So went through the whole process, worked with Chris and Preston. And yeah, I think we looked for probably 6 months, would you say?
Yeah, I would say about
yeah.
that.
Was it that long?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, yeah, settled on a house with a mother-in-law suite in the basement. So we planned on house hacking from the start by using Airbnb. So it took us about a month to set it up, a lot of paint.
Did
For
some light
For
remodeling.
remodeling, yeah. We didn't do anything too deep, but
Yeah.
paint everything white or black.
Yeah.
About.
White.
And then, yeah, I got it ready for
Flipper gray.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
There you
Took about a month, and then we listed it
In March of
in March of
2020.
2020, right when COVID hit.
So when you're searching for house hacks, were you always wanting to do a short-term rental?
Yeah, we were thinking Airbnb. Actually, we were inspired by his parents. They house hacked prior to us.
Yeah.
They Airbnb their basement.
Yeah.
And so we were thinking we wanted to do a basement of our own, but definitely a separate entrance.
Yeah, because I know roommates is another option, but with our schedules, so Jesseny's a nurse, and obviously you can talk more about it, but you work night shift.
Yeah.
So having roommates with a night shift schedule, I think, could be a little difficult. So we always wanted a private area for either if it was a roommate or for us Airbnb. Yeah, and you, I mean, I know we met with you too, so you were a big inspiration.
Yeah, I believe we met right after we started Airbnb, and I think Chris introduced us. And you're interested in doing the Airbnb method and the power of networking, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And Jesteny, I can definitely relate to you with my wife Allison. She is one of the key things was her privacy, and that's where we were looking for a separate entrance as well.
Yeah, it was a big thing just because, I mean, all throughout college you have roommates and stuff too. And I was a patient care tech prior and I worked night shift, so I knew the power of getting rest you need and not having to deal with other people walking around or being loud. So that was big.
Yeah.
But we really did focus on our search. Either we were okay, at least a private entrance and a private place for them so that we didn't really have to do a lot of talking and navigating that whole thing. But yeah.
Did you guys were you ever thinking of roommates or?
I proposed it, and it was a hard no.
Yeah.
So then I had to go back to the drawing board, and after working with Chris and his team, they explain how their ADUs, their mother-in-law suites, walk up, walk out basements, and so that's what we really focused on. And I have a background in construction, so we are also entertaining the idea of maybe walling off part of a house so that it will create a separate entrance as well.
We kind of got lucky, I think, with ours. Because, I mean, we did look at some houses
Did you?
that would have been a roommate type situation, I think. But, I mean, maybe like nowadays to have a mother-in-law in a home in the Denver area, like what's the minimum purchase price? Like, I think it's got to be below or above $400K, right?
Oh yeah. I'm trying to think. I mean, maybe the least expensive one we've helped someone buy this from might have been like mid to high 400s.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Vast majority like 500 plus right now.
So we got lucky because our budget was like 350.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we like weren't really budging.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
so we didn't have a whole lot of options, but we actually found a great, like we have a totally separate mother-in-law unit in a garden level basement that you access from a separate entrance in the backyard. So it's pretty private, and it was for 350 all in, and the mother-in-law unit was basically fully remodeled. Like
Yeah,
I know
it was
we did
pretty
some
new.
painting. Yeah, new.
Compared to our upstairs.
Yeah, pretty open. But then the upstairs where we live is pretty original from the late 50s. So that's been an adventure for sure.
But it's also a great location. That's the other thing. Like, I mean, you guys aren't too far from the Anschutz Medical Complex because you're just north of Montview, right? Or
Yeah, like one block.
This block right
okay,
on
so just
Montview.
blocks from
Yeah,
Montview, and like, I mean, what, a couple blocks from the campus, a couple blocks
Yeah, it's
west.
one
a
block.
4-minute drive and maybe like a 15 to 30-minute walk.
Yeah.
So a lot of development in that area. There's a new like medical science
There's a lot of new
campus.
stuff over there.
Yeah.
A lot of new hotels going up, and then
Yeah.
like 3 blocks north of us, there were just some luxury apartments built, which makes us feel good. Because I know when we moved in, and maybe as a realtor you know more too, but like the Aurora area where we live, like we went to some open houses, and realtors would tell us like steer clear of that area. So I think that was one important part for us, is just to kind of ignore some outside noises in terms of
Yeah.
where to live and do your own research, obviously. But
Yeah.
we're happy with where we're at, and at the price point we were looking, it was about one of the only areas we could get in. So yeah,
It's perfect though because there's like good bike trails and it's near the Stapleton area, and we do a lot of biking, and it's right next to Stanley Marketplace. So we always tell our Airbnb guests to check that place out. There's a lot of different restaurants and stores there as well. So yeah, we have really grown to love our location.
That is very important. So just a quick recap: when did you close on the property?
February of 2020.
Wasn't there something going on around that time?
Something did start right around that
So
time. Yeah.
let's talk about that. COVID hit, and you're planning on doing a short-term rental,
Yeah.
and travel completely shuts down. What goes through your mind?
It was, I'll go ahead and start, but it was quite insane because right prior to that, we listed our booking in March, and we had, or our Airbnb in March, and we had tons and tons of bookings for like the next 2 to 3 months. It was completely jam-packed booked because Airbnb does this thing where they promote your place if you list it right away. But then travel just ceased, and everyone started canceling. So that's when we started having conversations about what should we do. And you can go ahead and
Because I think everything kind of got canceled starting in April and on, because we had bookings into May and maybe June, but then we just we weren't that worried, honestly, just because
we were like, we can always get someone to rent it down there. That's the worst case scenario.
A long-term tenant
for us.
is what we were thinking, but we went with a month minimum stay starting in April on Airbnb still. So then I think the first day that we like made that change on the Airbnb app, someone booked that exact day for a month starting mid-April to mid-May. So that carried us through most of the like initial time period where people didn't travel at all.
Oh yeah,
And
probably a big stress reliever too.
We
So
were pumped. We were
think-
we are like set for this month. We don't have to worry about it at all.
You hear that ding from Airbnb come on, and
Right? Get the little notification.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's a weird like.
It's nice.
Yeah.
So that was nice, and then after that, I don't know what your experiences were, but we took our month minimum stay away after Kevin left, and then we had.
You remember his name?
Yeah,
Yeah, he was
maybe you like we remember specific guest names.
Oh yeah.
I don't.
No, we have some like mainly bad guests, obviously.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right. Well,
Kevin
shout
was
out to
Kevin was good though.
Shout out to Kevin. He even offered to live in it afterwards too. He's like, if you ever stop Airbnb, just contact me.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was a lifesaver.
He was good, and then we just went back to our normal, you can book 1-day stays, and then we had no problem with occupancy. Looking back, we were probably priced extremely too low, which probably helped, because we had there's $60 a night for a full-on 1-bedroom with a kitchen in the Denver area. It's pretty cheap.
And
private, totally
yeah.
separate. So looking back, I think that was a reason why we.
So are a lot of your guests, are they coming there to visit people or do something around the medical campus?
No,
really?
That's what we thought we were gonna. That was like kind of the population we thought we would get, but it's mostly people who are traveling and they're
just general tourism to Denver.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think people know, if they're in Aurora or Denver. They're just pumped to be in Colorado. So yeah.
Yeah, location doesn't matter as much as I think we thought it might have. Yeah.
That's a great question, Chris, because our new house hack is right next to a hospital well, and it's just everyone traveling, visiting. I think everyone's been cooped up during COVID and really wanting to get out, and it's the short-term rental business is a very good business to be in right now.
See, that doesn't surprise me though, Ben, because I mean you're in Wheat Ridge. I mean, but they're near the Anschutz Mill Complex is like one of the biggest economic drivers in Colorado. Like it's insane. I mean, there's 3 hospitals over there and all sorts of stuff. Like that's just like the behemoth there. Like I just assumed that would have been the magnet for your visitors.
No, we've had a couple of families or people stay that are taking their kiddos to appointments, or their parents are going to appointments. So that, or like people coming to interview with CU Anschutz. But really, the majority of our population is people vacationing.
Tourism,
or we are 15 minutes away from the airport, so people will stop for one night, or used to stop for one night and then stay. Now we have a 2-night minimum. But
yeah.
So you started in early 2020, and now you're still Airbnb'ing, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Yep. I'm sure, just like Alice and I, we've been Airbnb'ing for a couple years now. Has anything changed? Have you dialed in your process? Is it Chris Jesteny Airbnb 2.0?
Yeah.
We got a puppy.
Yeah.
We got a dog, so our own personal lives have changed a little bit. But Airbnb wise, we refinanced our home. Mm-hmm. So we dropped our monthly payment down by about $200. Then we changed our home insurance to 2.875.
What were you at?
3.875. So we dropped a full %.
It's after 6 months. Yeah.
It's a huge win.
So that was big. So financially, our monthly outflow is less, and we're probably bringing in more this year. We've probably almost doubled our nightly price from a year ago. So that's been huge as well.
There's just some like little kinks that we've done to kind of benefit ourselves, so that we're not just really detailing our messages in our Airbnb messages that we send, so that we're not having to do a lot more work as well, or like making sure we have extra linens, just other little things that we've done to benefit us and our guests.
Yep.
So what's the operation here? So, let's just say a prospective person messages you. What happens? Do you have an automated reply, or are you guys manually replying to that?
So let's say they instant booked. So they passed all of our criteria, which I think is you have to have your identity verified, and maybe
good reviews,
maybe one
decent
good review.
Reviews, yeah.
And do most people instant book versus just like contacting you first?
Half and half, probably.
Okay.
A lot of new people are in Airbnb. It seems like, I think Airbnb just went public. Does that sound right? So I think
I don't know.
A lot of people are newer guests, but we don't have an automated first message because we try to make it a little bit personal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, we're excited to have you. But if they say what they're coming for, we'll try to include that back in the message.
Yeah.
Like we love, happy anniversary. Like, we hope you guys have a good time. But that's about the only communication we have most times is that first message. And then after that, everything's automated. So our check-in message is all automated. So the day that they check in, the automated message gets sent at 6 a.m., I think.
6 a.m.
Yep, that's when we do. What is it? Same
so
for you guys?
No, ours is at 11 a.m.
Okay,
Oh,
gotcha.
It's 11 a.m. and it's a long-winded message that gives everything.
Yep. It just helps.
Yes.
I think having everything there, because then people aren't asking you questions as much and they can refer back to it.
So I have a good idea of what everything is, but maybe for the listeners, what's good? Okay, I'm booking for you. What information are you giving me?
time. Address. Time they can check in.
Yep.
Their keypad. How to access
so you're
our
all keyless entry?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So we have a key box right next to our door. And typically it will be the last 4 digits of their phone number that they can enter in themselves. And so they can grab their key via that. And then how to get to their entrance as well.
Gotta
specifically
be clear,
detailed.
With how to get to the entrance. I don't know if you guys have had problems with that, but
because yours is out back, right?
in the back, so they have
Yeah.
to walk to the side of our house and
Through the backyard.
through a gate.
Yeah.
And then we have a back door to our own unit,
Space.
so people get confused there. Originally, they'd be trying to open the door into our place. So you just got to be as clear. Not that people are stupid, but sometimes I think you got to act like people are in terms of messaging. For
Yeah.
sure.
Oh yeah, you gotta keep it simple. I mean, I've been there. You're traveling.
Yeah.
You're flustered. You got this going. They're like, well, just okay, and you where's the address? What's the key code? Cool. You scan it
Yep.
and you go. And I've done that. I'm just don't
Yeah.
pay attention to every detail.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And they've been probably traveling on a plane with little rest, but I can relate to you. The biggest quick tip that I've gotten actually in the past couple months, which I started doing, is anytime there's one thing they comment, they're like, oh, but this or something this, because you'll always get that. It doesn't matter what it is. There'll be something that they will do, but here's a concrete example. We had someone check in yesterday, and it was a check-in, check-out. So guest checked out at 11, 11 a.m., and then new guest checked in at 4 p.m. The guests who checked out probably were cold at some point, so turn on the heat. And then the guests checked in, they're like, it's hot in here. I can't get the AC to work. And on our controller, there's a little slide panel to get more controls. And so now what I'm going to do is, now that I know that was a confusion, I printed off a little sticky note for the controls that say slide down. Just little things like that. And I had someone who thought it wasn't the right size that they expected. So what I did is in my messaging, I said, just so you're aware, our square footage is this by this, so completely transparent. Because if you give them I've personally noticed, I'm sure we're both on the same page. We've dealt with a lot of challenging guests. If you address everything up front, it lets them know, and maybe sometimes your place isn't the best fit, because it all needs to be a win-win. They're on vacation, they need to enjoy, and if you're working nights, you need your sleep during the day, right?
Yeah. No, it's definitely an adjusting and like learning type of process, where if we get in our checkout message, we do have like, please let us know any recommendations that you think we need to do. And so with that, we usually will update our check-in messages or our listing, just so that they're quite aware of what they're
Like, what type of
going to be
feedback do
getting.
you get? As far as what do you call it? Recommendations, very.
Most recently, someone told us they wanted rubber spoons and cooking utensils. So I guess that's one where we had to adjust and just went to IKEA and got like $2 rubber utensils. Or if they have a hard time getting to the back of our door, would you say we've done stuff?
Yeah,
there?
we definitely. I mean, you just, like you said, you just got to keep updating your processes, I think. Because when we started, we had no idea what was going to be hard for guests, but we've definitely learned, and we're still updating. Like, someone just complained about our sofa bed.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been one of our main issues, is we host 4 guests. So 2 people get an actual bed, and then 2 people get a sofa bed. So we're still kind of working through how to, make our listing as good for those other 2 people. So yeah, it's just a constant updating and kind of changing with what's going on.
Sofa bed. I think Allison mentioned a story in Mastermind's number 6 of house hacking through a female perspective. We had a sofa challenge.
Well, you bought a new one the next day.
We bought a new one, then a brand
You
new
guys
one.
did?
That sounds very similar to
Just did the
to
same
us.
exact
We
thing.
did the exact
We
same
went and
thing.
bought a brand new one, and it's all you got to keep them happy.
Exactly. And
don't take it personal.
The thing is we're gaining so much income from it that it's like, okay, if we go and buy a bed to make our guests happy and like get good reviews and get more people coming in, there's benefits to that. You're just gaining. It's an investment. So
what was the complaint for your sofa bed?
To make it short, he said it was unlivable.
Unlivable.
I'm not going to go in. He said it was unlivable. We said, I'm sorry you feel that way. And we were due for a new one. We went out, bought a new one, and said, enjoy your stay.
When he was there?
We bought a new one.
Oh, like while he was there.
It's all about the reviews.
Yeah, So actually we got that right after they left. And we had a day off. So we went and got a day bed that turns into a large bed, but turned it into a couch. Kind of.
Yeah.
Because sofa beds are never, in the end, they're never as comfortable as a bed.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So what type of numbers are you guys getting right now? Because I know, hey, you got it. COVID happened. Things were wonky for a bit. Now things are like, full steam ahead. Colorado is a top destination right now for tourism and Airbnb. You're not too far from the Denver proper. Great location. Like, what's your occupancy, average nightly rent rate, things like that?
You can go ahead.
We're at about 100-ish, right around 100 a night. So, ideally, if you were booked every night, you'd be at $3,000 a month. But we block off anywhere from 5 to 10 days per month on the Airbnb app where people can't check in. So
is that just for friends and family visiting, or
just our mental
like
health? Just keep privacy. So we're right at around 2,000 a month is what we bring in. And then we do all the cleaning, so we don't have any cleaning fees to pay anyone.
I'm glad you brought that up.
So yeah.
I'm applauding
because you. Alice and I made it 1 month.
Oh, 1 month?
We made it 1 month.
Well, okay.
So talk about that. I'm sure you have a process in place.
It's easy for us because Chris works from home, and then I work night shifts. So I only work 3 days a week, so I'm home for 4 days out of that week. But at this point, it's like a habit. I would say, like, we don't even complain about it anymore. It's just something that we know we have to do, and it takes maybe an hour, and it's kind of nice because we know the stuff that we're doing is good. Our cleaning process, people seem to say in the reviews that we have a really clean home, and so it is nice not having to rely on someone to do that and then worrying about what their work is going to be like. And we're saving a lot of money. Like, we've actually calculated it out. And what was the price that we just...
Well, we finally got central AC this year, so I think we paid for that.
Yeah.
With our cleaning fees that we
it's a business
paid
expense.
Ourselves. Yeah, right, yeah, last year. Yeah, and business expense. So, yeah, there's 3 main areas. You got to vacuum, you got to sanitize everything, and then change the beds. And once you do those 3, then...
You're set.
Yeah, you're pretty good.
How many total sets do you have?
Probably 4 sets of linens, if not plus, especially for like our extra sofa bed now. And then we have 2 duvets, and then we also do duvet covers, which is different from comforters, so that we can change those covers out.
It's very smart.
But those are a pain in the butt to change.
That is actually the thing that we talk about most often.
I still don't get how it works. Jesteny.
We change it once. My wife makes us change it once here, and I bitch the whole time.
That's me every time. I don't get it. I don't understand it. Jesteny somehow works her magic on it. Yeah. I don't know.
So duvet covers. We did the same thing because we would throw our whole...
Oh, it's not worth it.
And in the dryer, it was...
It's a nightmare.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
And so
then
we
get a blanket instead.
Then we get
on top of here.
But yeah, I can completely relate to that. And then we became masters at folding fitted sheets.
Yeah. Yep. I had to watch a YouTube video, but yeah. How to do it.
Do you have any sort of check, because what I've noticed when we do ours, we have a pretty thorough checklist because there's also not just laundry, but you have a certain amount of hand towels, certain amount of dish towels, floor mats, and then we do coffee. And also we will do a postcard, a couple postcards, so people can write write their family. We got those tips
really
from a couple Airbnbs we stayed in on vacation, which I highly recommend to anyone. If you're traveling and you want to get into Airbnb, spend time in some other couple ones and take some notes. It's phenomenal. But yeah, so to back what I was saying, is there any checklists or anything you do to make sure that you're not missing anything?
At this point, it's such a habit that we don't really have a checklist. But in the beginning, we did have one where we said, okay, we need to like launder the robes, do the mats, sweep, do the dishes, make sure the bathroom looks good, sanitize everything, and change the linens. But yeah, we change out our bathroom towels, our kitchen towels. We have slippers that we can wash and then put back downstairs. And,
Genius.
And robes, yeah. And then we have makeup towelettes, I guess you could say, that we can wash and put downstairs.
I think we've just done it so many times now.
Yeah, it's almost like
we know what to look for and where the common areas are that can kind of get missed.
I'm all about scalability. Like I'm like what you're doing is great, but when you move on to House Hack number 2, whether it's here in Denver or as you travel around whatever town or market you go into next, how do you scale that? Or do you stop Airbnb? Do you just hire a property manager, or do you put your systems in place? Like how do you scale it? How do you grow the portfolio?
I think at that point, definitely would.
Like what's the plan? Because I know one property is not the only goal you guys have.
Right. So I mean, we've talked about hiring a cleaner. For sure, if we do end up keeping our Airbnb downstairs.
Yeah, and with Denver, I mean, you have to live. It has to be your primary residence.
But you're Aurora.
And Aurora, I think.
Is that Aurora? I don't know the Airbnb walls.
Yeah,
Aurora.
Same with Aurora. Okay. Yep. So, Jesteny wants a travel nurse. If we went and traveled for a year or two, we wouldn't be able to Airbnb out either unit. I think you can do it if there's less than 12 stays per unit per year. So we could switch to monthly, kind of like you guys do, I think.
A monthly cleaner.
Medium term in both units is what we were thinking. And then we would have a cleaner in between there, because then ideally you'd only have, you'd have less than 12 cleanings per year. So
yes.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're interested down the road, and I highly recommend it, is when you move, what we did when we moved out, we switched to medium term, because you get either young professionals or traveling nurses, and they make excellent tenants, because we have on the main level that we rent out long term or 12 months or greater, is we rent to a family with kids, and they don't want people coming in, coming out. Yeah. We want someone who's married to their job and dedicated and quiet and respectful. And there are all sorts of platforms out there, Furnish Finder, Copa, to find them, and even Airbnb. If you, like you said, if you set them up for a greater than 30 days, you can still use that same platform. And they handle their customer service. I've noticed, I don't know if you've noticed this, is actually very, very good, because the first month we stayed in our place, we had 4 turnovers, and 3 out of the 4 turnovers we had to replace all of our sheets.
Jeez.
Oh, wow.
Good start.
But it's a game of odds. You're going to run into, I'm sure you've noticed it.
Yeah.
It's a game of odds. You're going to have excellent people, you're going to have average people, and then you're going to have the 5% of people that are pain in the ass, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that? Have you ran into anyone, maybe someone who rhymes with Chevin? Like Kevin?
Reed was probably our worst one, I would say.
I'm just impressed with the names you guys remember.
He was pretty early on, as well as like in the height of the pandemic. They came from Vail, which was the place where COVID was going crazy.
Yeah.
And so they came for one night. They booked the day of, which we won't ever let that happen again. We don't let bookings occur on the day of. But he showed up maybe around like 8 p.m.
Late, yeah.
And around 1 a.m. He didn't know how to get into the home. He didn't read the directions. Didn't know how to use the keypad to get in. And then Chris helped him. And then later that night at 1 a.m., he was messaging our Airbnb saying help.
Oh, no.
I think he just messaged help one time, I think, just help.
Yeah. And so, I mean, we were sleeping, right? Yeah. So apparently he then messaged us after and was like, my girl just peed in the toilet and it's clogged. And all my girl did was pee in the toilet. And so basically blamed us. They left that next day right at 11:01, and 11 is our checkout. And Chris had to go and clean it.
And it was not just pee that was in the toilet. It was gross.
It's a big mess.
So yeah, that was right away. Was, you always hear the horror stories of like having to clean clogged toilets, and we had it within the first like couple weeks.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was rough. But I mean, really, with Airbnb, it's so nice because they're only there for maximum maybe a week, generally. So, I mean, some of our main problems are people are loud at night or during the day when Jesse's trying to sleep.
Which recently hasn't been a huge deal. I think when you raise your prices on Airbnb, you get a better amount of, or better guests.
Better guests, yeah. And then just with Colorado, with weed being legal, we had a lot of people who I think would smoke in our unit, and maybe you guys have had that issue, but originally our listing said 420 friendly,
but
outside only.
Patio? Yeah.
But we think maybe just by using that like verbiage of 420 friendly, they kind of thought we were cool with like doing it in our unit, and we have a shared HVAC, so it would just come straight up to our bedroom.
No.
right up there.
It was not pleasant to wake up at 2 p.m.
So we had a lot of that, but Jesteny, you solved that, honestly.
Yeah, I was pretty frustrated. So then I wrote, and we have a little guidebook when people come in that says who we are, about us, what to do, tips and tricks throughout the unit. And so on that, I wrote, if you smoke, we will make you pay $500 to us in our unit. And so then we did that on our listing as well. And since then, it hasn't been an issue. People are very kind, and they'll ask even if it's okay if they do it on our patio. So, yeah. We
didn't know the legality of the threatening $500 fine, but it's worked out so far. Yeah.
Well, it's a deep clean fee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same with pets. So Chris talked about scalability. I'm huge on scalability. You mentioned, I guess you had challenge with the toilet maybe and messaging during the middle of the night. Have you changed any of your processes to prevent that? Have you done anything proactive since then to change that? Maybe offer that, hey, if there's a problem, just message during the day, or try to set some sort of business hours?
We haven't set specific business hours, but that's really been the only time someone's messaged us middle of the night.
Yeah.
I mean, going back to just raising our prices, that was when we were probably priced at 50 to 60 a night. So now that we're near 100, I think we weed out a lot of those people who would maybe have those sort of issues. But we've had other problems like
well, just to go off of that, we did talk about, if people don't know where they're staying the day of, then we would probably run into more issues with our guests because they're not prepared. It doesn't sound responsible. So unless something actually is huge, we don't let people book on the day of for our Airbnb. So that's something that we did do, and I do feel like that's helped as well.
I don't think Airbnb does allow you, because we've had messages from Airbnb saying that this is a concern and we're not allowing it. So then we go back to the guests and say, I'm sorry, this is outside of our control. We can't allow you to stay.
Yeah. We haven't had that actually recently. We actually we've kind of set our settings so that people can't. But that's interesting.
So going back to the numbers, I was interested in that. So you said you're at 100 a night.
Just about, yeah.
Just about. Does that change maybe on the week? Are your weekend prices different at all? Or if you notice something's down the road, you have some open nights, are you changing your pricing at all?
I do go in there quite a bit and change it, yeah. I know some people use pricing software. Do you?
No, I use just demand. I used to use research, but now the demand is so high that we have a set price that works for us. And we don't want to creep up. I'm going to be honest, we could probably raise our price a little bit. Yeah. I've looked at our competition. We're about $25 a night below competition. However, if you start raising it, then you increase their expectation. And we feel, even though there is a high demand, there is a certain dollar value that we put on it. So it's we're big on the win-win. I mean, I don't want to try to gouge, and we're comfortable where it's at, and it keeps the occupancy rate high. I mean, have you been tracking your occupancy rate during the summer, like May, June, July?
At this point, if it's open, we're booked. It's almost 100%
impressive.
occupancy, which kind of does tell us that we probably could raise our prices
that's
too.
my argument right there. It means your prices are too low.
Yeah, I think that's what we've read too, is that you want to shoot for around like 85% occupancy. So clearly we could probably raise ours, especially, I mean, Colorado's so seasonal. You know, you got the summer, really raise the prices up. But like competition, I think that's what we do a lot of. We have like 3 Airbnbs in our area that are just very similar to ours that have really good reviews. They're super hosts. So we just monitor those properties a lot to kind of see what their prices are. And I'm sure they're probably doing the same. So we kind of go based on that. But I do go in there and check. Like during the week, it's less, obviously, per night. And then weekends are higher. And then you have events like the MLB All-Star Game is coming.
Yep.
So we bumped our prices up to like, I don't know, 120, 130. And I think we got booked for that week a few of the nights at that price. So that's where pricing software probably would be helpful, because they know all those local events that are happening. But for one property, I think it's I don't know if it's totally worthwhile.
Yeah.
So I sat down with a short-term property manager maybe a month ago at this point, and one of his tips was saying if you have bookings more than 2 months out, it means you're underpriced.
Oh.
His sweet spot was, he was very much, hey, if we're getting bookings that are, we're in July right now. If we're getting September bookings right now, hey, we got to go in there and raise the prices much higher for September, October, November, and so on.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Because he said you're way under market then, because people aren't that far. That means, oh, great, there's a really good deal. They're booking it.
Yeah.
So he tries to get people booked out like only a few weeks to 2 months out. And he says that's the sweet spot for optimizing the rent rate or the rent amount.
So we have bookings in late September already. So we should raise our price. Huh. Do you guys get bookings far out, or?
Yeah. Kind of going back to what I was saying is what you're giving versus price. But now that I'm thinking about it, we could probably raise our price a little bit, but it works. It works.
But at some point too, it's not worth the return.
Right.
Because hey, we can do this, but hey, if it takes me, 10 more hours to make this amount of money, great. I increase my revenue by $8 an hour.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. But if you can do it, it's like, hey, increase my revenue by $80 an hour. That becomes very interesting.
Right.
He's a full-time professional, property manager. So that's what he and his entire staff, that's what they do all day long.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that sweet spot where, hey, this is good enough for our schedule and all this. Like, yeah, we could do more, but it might not be worth all the extra work for a few extra dollars a month.
Yeah, it's different. Yeah, just with one property, I think, compared to a whole management, of hundreds of properties. Yeah, it's something we could probably look into more though in terms of pricing. But yeah,
it works for us, and we don't pay 1 cent on our mortgage, and we get extra money, so we spend it on trips and stuff, which is nice.
Because you refied from 375 to 2875. What's your monthly mortgage payment approximately with PITI?
$1,750.
Okay, and you're bringing in $2,000 plus a month.
Yep, and that's with a week blocked off on average, probably. So if we were fully open, I think we'd bring in $2,500-ish.
And when you say $2,000, that's after Airbnb takes out the taxes, right? Because they take out the taxes directly.
That's what's coming to us. We're getting $2,000 a month, but then there's fees and on top of that we don't see.
Yeah, but
we're getting $2,000.
You're getting $2,000 to you after all that stuff.
Yep.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Airbnb doesn't. I don't think they take out taxes.
For Aurora, they do.
They do.
Because
okay, so it's okay. That
it's
makes
based on, because I think Arvada, I know it's different.
Arvada does not take out taxes.
Yeah.
So
really?
We hold back about. We try to be pretty aggressive. The last thing we want is a huge bill come tax season. Yeah, that's and so we hold back. I believe 28%. I know that's extremely high, but.
Is that 28%? Not to give Arvada, or that's just your tax liability in general for income tax plus.
Mm-hmm.
But are you writing a check to Arvada then for?
No, lodging.
Okay. No, it's like the hotel taxing, and so it
but
gets
Airbnb doesn't take that out of the.
Airbnb takes out 3%. Is it 3 or 2%? That's all Airbnb takes out. but we're different.
Yeah.
So
I think it's different.
It's different for.
Interesting. Okay.
I know. So now I'm learning something new because, for when I had an Airbnb in Nebraska, they took out taxes. We had an Airbnb in Arvada, and I called around. I asked, hey, can you take out taxes? I don't want to recognize that income. I don't want to see that. And there really wasn't a clear answer. But the only thing they take out right now, is a 2% out for Airbnb fees. But then we recognize that all that income is not taxed, so then all has tax at the end. But then if you manage your expenses and you track all your expenses, your cleaning supplies, and your repairs, your paint, it's good to on your income in your statement, to show a loss.
Yeah, that's when we finally got a credit card this year because we didn't last year. So we mixed all of our personal and business expenses. So it was confusing.
Oh, that's a pain in the
tax.
butt.
Oh, it was a nightmare.
Yeah, just get a separate bank account, separate credit card, and keep it
So
simple.
much
For
easier.
each property have a different account.
New credit card or you keep it all in the
just
same.
a check. It's a new credit card for each account. So then it's its own acts as its own business because like I said, I'm all about scalability. We plan on doing this again in the future, and anything I can do now to make life easier, I'll definitely do that.
Yeah, especially with 2 homes, I'm sure it gets a little more.
Yeah, and so we touched on messaging, and my quick tip is we have 4 messages, I believe. One is when they book, it says thank you for booking. 2 is when they the day of their check-in, it gives check-in instructions like everything you said. The third one is after they stay, the morning of at 9 a.m. we ask, hey, how was your stay? Was everything good? Is there anything we can do to make it better? And people typically are pretty responsive to that. And then at 9 a.m. on their checkout, we give them the checkout instructions, where to put trash, and we make it makes things really easily. So now I couldn't tell you the name of the person that's staying at our place right now, and I'll get a message and said, because we have a cleaner, and now it's completely hands off except for cleaning. We have 3 tubs that we cycle through. We always have 3 full tubs.
Tubs of like laundry.
Tubs of full complete laundry, and it made life so much easier when we just had our daughter a month or so ago, and it made my life easier. I wrote a little blog post that listeners will probably see that come up here shortly, but on the benefits of having systems in place, because I was able to go about 2.5 weeks with 3 turnovers without doing anything because I already had that in place, and we had our cleaner already set up.
So do you put the linens down there?
In the garage. I put them in the garage, and I give our cleaner the garage code. And I have a Airbnb friendly cleaner that I got off Bigger Pockets.
Okay.
I was gonna ask, like if you've had any issues with your cleaners,
Yes.
Just reliability and not doing well.
The challenge, yes, there's been challenge. I don't want to go into too much detail.
Yeah.
But for you guys, for your situation,
100% worth it. I mean, there can get, if this cleaner, all of our cleans are between a check out and check in of 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. They're busy.
It's a lot of work.
So they're going to miss, they do our laundry too. We have a laundry in our Airbnb. So they may miss a stain, and if you wash your stain, you're done, and you have to, so there becomes complacency that can get to it, and it depending on if you continue to recommend a cleaner out, it can become a challenge because then they get very busy.
I think we know, obviously, self-cleaning isn't scalable, but for where we're at now with our schedules, it works.
Oh, sounds like a great fit.
Yeah, it works for us, but like you said, looking forward, I don't think it would be a long-term solution for us, but we've made it last. I think 2 years is kind of what we're shooting for to get to. Perfect. So we've got about another half of a year, and then we'll go from there.
That's the greatest thing is what may work for me may not work for you, even though we're in a niche down inside of a niche of short-term rentals through Airbnb. Is everyone has their own strategies, and one thing I wanna touch on as we're closing up is there seems to be a lot of people out there that are interested in house hacking with a significant other, but one of the significant others kind of they have a challenge getting one on board, or they're on board and you're successfully doing it as a couple. Do you have any tips or tricks that you're doing?
We've kind of talked about this. So we're both people pleaser type of people, and we like to make people happy. And so we're also kind of type A people. So he's an accountant, I'm a nurse. It used to be pretty stressful in the beginning of, oh my gosh, like we made one step, are they going to hear us? Or like, did we finish cleaning? And so that stress would get a little bit of tense there, yeah. I feel like. But after a month in communicating was huge for us, telling each other what we felt was going good and what we felt wasn't going good. After about a month, though, we started to ease up, and I think being laid back and having fun is probably the biggest thing.
I love it.
If you're sitting there like stressed about every single thing and like worried about your guests, you're not gonna enjoy it. And although you're making quite a bit of a good income, it's not as fun.
Yeah.
And then it just like makes the relationship tense. Yeah. So yeah, communicating was huge for us though, on what was going well and what wasn't.
So do you have set tasks that one person does and the other one doesn't, or set kind of roles, I guess, if that makes sense?
It's really funny because when we first started this, Chris didn't know how to make a bed. So we've done a lot. Yeah, he's a great bed maker now and really good at it. And
you have the corners down?
Yeah.
All of it. All of it.
A
we got a little like fancy fold at the end. Oh
yeah. But we just, when we start cleaning together, we just take on our own roles. Like there are certain things that I enjoy, such as the sanitizing process, and Chris loves vacuuming. So, so he
striping the carpet.
Right.
I'm not a big fan of vacuuming either. So
I do like vacuuming.
Yeah. But I mean, there are times though when I'm exhausted and I don't end up cleaning, and then Chris does it because I'm sleeping. And you do a great job at it. So you do everything as well.
Yeah, cleaning we both do, but I mean in terms of like Airbnb, I did zero design. Like you set up, you bought all of the, like you kind of set up the whole vibe, which if I would have done it by myself, I don't think anyone probably would have stayed at Airbnb. So
mine wouldn't have anything on the walls.
Oh, right. It'd
be decor pillows wouldn't be there.
Right. We've got pillows everywhere. We've got blankets, like stuff that I wouldn't think about. So that's another thing as a couple, like use each other's strengths.
Yep.
Like I feel like with Airbnb especially, you know, the pictures and like the whole design vibe of it is huge to get people to look at, you know, your listing. And without you, I'm sure I wouldn't have been near as successful. So yeah, use each other's strengths as a couple, and don't think of it as a negative. Maybe try to think of it in a positive way, working with your significant other. I mean, now it's fun and we laugh at some of the stuff guests do all the time. Yeah, so I think we kind of grow together at this point. And it's, I mean, we're running a business together now too, so it's fun at this point.
That's an excellent way to put it.
Yeah.
What about you? Do you have any
tips?
For you guys, or?
Yes. Just like you said, Allison and I run it as a business. So she's more of like the operations side of things. She does all the messaging, the communication, because she's anything that's not automated. So if something comes up and it needs to be addressed, she does all the messaging. And then I do if there's like the AC, I'll do all the repairs. I'll do all the month-end financials, all the year-end financials, taxes, and then kind of plan out big picture. But she's a rock star at it. If one of us has an idea and I throw it out there over some drinks at dinner, and she just executes like phenomenal.
That's awesome.
It's helpful for having another person.
Yeah, you
can
just bounce ideas off of each other the whole time. And I mean, I think sometimes Chris will say something or I'll say something, and it takes a little bit to warm up to it. Like you kind of have to talk about it a little bit more.
Yeah.
You may not be like into it at first, but then it's a brilliant idea like 4 days later.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Now we love it. So yeah, it's tough at first for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to be perfect when, especially the couple first starting out, but just work through it and then it'll get better.
If it works for you, then it's great, you know?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so I got one final question. We'll wrap this up. Like, one final advice. I mean, if you can think back to where you guys were, what, a year and a half ago or so, 2 years ago when you started, getting serious about buying first house hack, planning this out, rewind it. You learn a lot, forget about it, but like, what advice would you give your younger selves 2 years ago? Same time, other people like, wow, what they are doing, they bought a house. It works for their personalities. It works for their situation. They are living for free and making a couple bucks a month. Like, people want to do what you guys are doing. What's like one or two piece of advice you give, or things that you wish you knew back then?
I'd say don't get kind of bogged down in the details of it all. Because we've learned so much more than I think we would have ever thought over the last year and a half that we wouldn't have had we not just started. And honestly, it's probably first reaching out to, Chris, you obviously, and then meeting with you two. I think those are two big catalysts for me to kind of get the ball rolling. So I know everyone says this, but you just kind of got to get started. And I mean, podcasts are great and YouTube videos are great, but you can only watch so many of those. And there's a lot of them out there, but just kind of take some action and get started. And you'll figure it out from there as long as you have some passion for it.
All right. So don't get bogged down in details. Take action.
All right.
Jesteny?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of went with what I was going to say. But just do it. I know we talked about it for a good amount of time before we even started talking to a real estate person. And I think you should just go for it. And I'll talk to people and they'll be like, I can't buy a house right now. It's crazy. We can't make as much as what everyone's saying. I'm like, you just house hack, just Airbnb your basement. It's gonna be great. You'll make money, and you'll enjoy it. So yeah, I'd say just do it, and you'll learn and grow along the way.
Great advice. So where can guys, our audience, where can they reach you if they want to, email you, Instagram? Like, what's the way for people to just connect with you guys if they want to pick your brains or do some networking?
Yeah, email, Instagram, Facebook.
We also, people will message us on our Airbnb listing and just ask questions and stuff too. And so you can always message us on that as well. But
can
email.
we could link our...
Yeah, because I know, give us whatever you guys want, because I know you get your Instagrams and emails. I don't know if I have your Airbnb link, but give it. We'll put it on the show notes for sure.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Cool.
That'd be awesome.
Sounds
get some
good.
additional views on the listing.
Yeah.
There we go.
Awesome, guys. Well, this has been fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys have obviously both been a big help for us. So yeah.
Good.
Awesome to be here and giving back a little bit.
It always feels good to get back. And anyone out there watching on YouTube, if there's any, leave a rating or review. If there's anything you'd like to see or recommendations, reach out, let us know. I enjoy reading the comments, so I'm looking forward to seeing them.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.